Okay, hello everyone. In our Zoom meeting today, it is a beautiful Thursday morning in Hanoi, and we welcome you all to our webinar today. So today the webinar will be mainly focuses on the insights and the perspective of the market after COVID, and what is our actions, what the actions that merchants should take to overcome these challenges and aim for successful year-end sales. So today, my name is Joel. I'm the CEO. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Magenest. And for those of you who have not heard of Magenest before, we are a digital agency with specification in digital transformation, e-commerce, ERPs, digital marketing, and all things digital. And our headquarters is in Hanoi, Vietnam. So joining me today is Willie Tan. Willie is the senior consultant from Adobe, and he's been with the firm for almost 3 years. So with that kind of experience, we expect Willie to give us some industry experience and insights and the Adobe's take on the topic today. Okay. So today our agenda will have 4 parts. The first one is we'll talk a bit about the importance of omnichannel customer experience in the market landscape after COVID. And the second part is how we can improve the omnichannel experience, the omnichannel customer experience online. And third part is the peak season readiness, and that will be presented by Willie. And the last part is our Q&A session, if you have any question for us. Okay, so I will start with my part. So there are 2 parts to my talk, and there'll be the first one is the market condition from Magenest viewpoint, in which we will share our observations of the online landscape after the pandemic. And the second part is some of our recommendations for merchants and online businesses to tackle those challenges. Let's go straight into the first part here. So let's talk a bit about the landscape of the market after COVID-19. So that COVID-19, it lasted for over 2 years, and it was a dramatic and drastic changes in all our life. And we as a digital agency and as a business, we see some shift into the behavior and into the mindset of both consumers and businesses alike. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the shift of customer behavior. So and let me remind you that all of these points, all of these observations are from our company. So let's take it with a grain of salt. So the first thing is the customers, they are more willing to switch their favorite brands. So the loyalty, so the customers, as you know, during the pandemic, the customers have more time on their hand, they have less money, and they will try to look for the best discounts or the best looks of the fashion purchase, for example. And all the big fashion trends, for example, are closing their physical stores. So the local brands are on the rise, and the customers are looking for more options to add to their shopping list. And we see a drastic change in the lifestyle after the pandemic, for example. So like after the pandemic, even it has died down a bit for now. So, but 85% of home delivery foods remains. So people are slowly coming back to the physical store, but the change has the change after the COVID has some deep impact into the lifestyle of the customer. And the next point is we have seen some fast adoption into digital wallets and digital banking. And in Vietnam, to be specific, people are using less and less cash, with the better alternative of bank transferring or e-wallet for obviously for convenience and less physical interactions. So brands should take note of this, so that I have seen so many online businesses, they just take like COD, cash on delivery. So that is that is a no-go for the market landscape after COVID. And the next point is so social channels. So online channels such as social media, websites, online marketplace are filled with information that the customer can take advantage of. And as you can see on the screen here, we can see that the customer, they go through several stages of gathering information, and they go through the stage of evaluation and the stage of purchases. So as you can see, the use of online versus offline channels is quite big. And for example, in the discovery phase, like 80% of consumers, they look for information online first, and in contrast to 20% of consumers, they go directly to the physical stores. So so all in all, we can see that online businesses like digital presence for merchants and businesses is critical for them, for the well-being of the businesses, and specifically and especially after the pandemic. Let's go to the second part of some of the businesses behavior changes after the pandemic. So most of the businesses that Magenest has talked to from the period of, like, for example, January of this year until now, we have seen that businesses are evolving in their mindset and their behavior and their attitude toward e-commerce. And they can see that, okay, e-commerce is not just a channel to sell stuff, but it is also a channel to gather customer information, and also it acts as a channel to advocate their products through several very powerful tools. For example, ads, for example, social media ads. So yeah. So the second point is the customer are looking for a better experience while shopping with brands. So brands have to make sure that consistency is a must across all channels. And I have seen quite a bit of buzzword that is omnichannel experience. And what we are aiming for here is the consistency of customer experience across all channels. For example, when the customer, they are shopping offline and they heard that, okay, we can there are for example reward points that they can apply to have discounts on their order, and they expect that, okay, they shop offline, but when they go online, when they have accumulated all those points, they will be able to use it online. That is a very simple example of how consistency is critical across sales channel. And we see that more and more advanced e-commerce models are on the rise. For example, some of our clients, they aim for B2B2C. They aim for an affiliation sales model, and they increasingly adopt CDP or CRM so that they can know their customer better and they can provide a better service to the customer, and they can use all of those data that they have gathered from their customer to be in later use. And the last point that I want to talk about in the business's behavior is as people have less ability to make a purchase because we have less money after the COVID, and we think that and most businesses think that focusing on the second time purchases customers is more critical than to push for the first time sales of the customer. So in this point, what I want to say is the customer loyalty is more of a focus for most businesses nowadays when they want to advocate their brand, when they want to have brand authority, and they want to build a solid customer base for their businesses. And the second slide here, as you can see, this is a McKinsey study for revenue recovery after COVID. And you can see on the screen there are two vertices, and the first one is impact on earnings before interest and taxes, and the second vertices is the time to impact. And as we can see, businesses nowadays, they have deployed quite some different tactics, and different tactics have different levels of impact on their businesses. We can see businesses to deploy M&A deals. They restructure their sales. They deploy e-commerce. They reorganize their demand planning. But the main point that I want to talk here is the improvement of customer experience and safety. So you can see that customer experience has the sweet spot of both the substantial level of impact on businesses with recovery, with reasonable time for it to make an impact. So I think the focus on customer experience is one of the solutions that makes you to have a good amount of impact, a good amount of recovery on your businesses without taking too much of your time. And I want to talk a bit about the customer expectations from brands. And right after the pandemic, we can see that the customers, they are more picky, and they have more increased expectation from the brands that they purchase from. And I have said before that the brand loyalty should be the focus, and we can see a dramatic shift of brand loyalty behavior, and the customer, they are more willing to switch their favorite brand, so the loyalty is playing a more critical role now. Second point is personalization. So most of the clients that we have visited, they say that personalization is a very advanced feature, is a very hard thing to do. But from our viewpoint, given the right data and given the right technology and condition, personalization will give the customer a stronger sense of bond with the brand, and it is not that hard to deploy. And I will talk more about personalization in the later part of my talk. Social shopping is on the rise, and you can see here with the new content of TikTok. For example, TikTok has just deployed TikTok Shop, and more people are flocking to social media platform to see the latest update on their brands, to see promotion and so on. So definitely businesses should take advantage of this trend. And as I mentioned earlier, unified, seamless customer journey across multiple channels is what we are aiming for here. And the last part, which I see is a pain point for most of the business here in Vietnam, that payment is always a sensitive topic. And as data security and customer's cash is on the line, and we will talk a bit about the ease of navigation and the ease of payment. What are their roles in having flourish e-commerce businesses in the later part of my talk. So that concludes the first part of my talk. So let's go on to the second part of how we can tackle above challenges on a general level, so that merchants will have a general idea of what to do and to tackle all the challenges posed by the post-pandemic environment, and they will have successful year-end sales later on this year. So our goal here is to have, as you can see on the screen, we have three main goals. We have a seamless experience for the customer. We gotta have information consistency, and we gotta have easy navigation and transparent information across all channels. This is we can totally achieve this via synchronization of data via API integration. The seamless experience, which means wherever the customer are shopping, for example, they are shopping in physical stores, they're shopping in marketplaces or their websites, the customer should receive the same promotion, the same post-purchase services, the same loyalty, and so on. And from our perspective, the brand policy and the brand authority should be clearly projected here. Wherever the customer shop, the brand is always there, and the policy and services, everything is all the same. And most of the customers, I myself is an online shopper, and I can see that most customers hate it when they can't even look for what they want, let alone browsing casually or check out their order. So so easy navigation in their website or in their system, although often overlooked by brands, is always on the forefront of most problem with revenue stagnation after COVID. So from our viewpoint, easier navigation and easier payment should be tackled first and should be addressed at once when you are looking to improve the customer experience of your online businesses. Okay, so there are several points here that you can see on the slide. We want to talk a bit about customer data platform. So CRMs is, I think, it's a old thing for like in this age, and CDP has the ability to gather all the customer information across channels, and I will talk a bit about this in the later slide. Okay, so let's dive into the a graph that we have prepared for you. So the CDP normally it will help merchants to have a 360 understanding of their customers, to get insight on the market trends, and to make use of their customer data effectively. And the data should come from, for example, first party data. We have the transaction data, we have name and address of the customer, we have the mobile app usage data. For third party data, we have like demographic, and we have email address, we have personality, we have purchase intent, and all of that can be gathered via tracking tool, for example, Google Analytics or heat map tools. And we can gather all of that information, and then we will generally, CDP, they will have 4 general steps. The first step is to cross-checking the user ID, and then it will segment all these data of the customer into different segments. For example, people for a fashion brand, they will have to know what is their like a target customer. People from the age of 18 to 30, for example, is one segment, and for kids from 3 to 18 is a different segment, for example. And while we have those data segments, we will have some predictive actions so that we can know which actions, which intents of actions that each of these customer segment would have. And from that point, we will have some activation activity, which means we will use those processed data for a wide variety of campaigns. As you can see on the screen, we have email, post messaging, SMS, social, and even we can combine some of the campaigns together. You can have an email, you can have a social and SMS campaign all put together in one big campaign. And Adobe already has a very already have a great real-time CDP platform that you can take a look, and it is natively integrated in the Adobe eCommerce software. So that is a very good starting point for you to get reference. So as I said earlier, that we are going to come back to personalization. So personalization is often thought as a very highly advanced feature for any online businesses, but the truth is there are different levels of personalization that one can adopt, and personalization should be deployed throughout the customer journey. We have pre-visit, which we call awareness stage, during visit, which is conversion stage, and post-visit, which is deepening engagement stage. And for example, in pre-visit, we should have targeted display advertisement. We should have personalized email, and we can achieve that with various email marketing tools. During visit, normally on their website, we can have advanced logic to personalize the customer journey with recommendation, product recommendation, for example. And if the technology allowed it, we can propose the different kind of promotion or discount for the customer during their visit on the website. And always we should track the browsing behavior of the customer on our website so that we can have a better idea of what category of products or what part of the website that the customer is most interested. And the post-visit stage, we will, for example, very simple, we will track the cart abandonment rate, and we will offer the customer with a promotion that so that they will come back and finish their cart, and even let the customer to add more to their cart before they check out. So the last point that I want to talk about before I transfer it to Willie is the simplicity of browsing and payments. And I don't want to talk too much about information here. I just want to show you one very simple graph of a reason for abandonment during checkout. And you can see here, of course, the customer is most concerned about the extra costs, and they, for example, the website, they want me to create an account. That is a very common reason. Long and complicated checkout process. They couldn't see the total order cost upfront. They didn't trust the site with credit card information. So all of these information, like they conclude into 2 points. That one is the customers, they are very savvy. And they would like their journey to be as simple as possible and as pleasant as possible. And the second point is they want to have a very simple but secure payment process so that they can quickly check out. And we as a business, we don't want to have a prolonged checkout process. We just want to have the customer to click and boom, we have a new order. That is the point here. Okay, so talking about the flow and the ease of navigation, I would like to talk a bit about one of our customers here. They are their name is Iona, and they are a Vietnamese firm who specialize in wholesaling electronics and mobile devices from big manufacturers. And it is still an ongoing project, and I thought it is a great example of how progressive web apps can be deeply customized, especially Magento POA Studio. It can be deeply customized for a very consistent mobile desktop experience, ease of navigation, and data consistency. And in this project, apart from all the business logic, for example, B2B2C business model, ERP synchronization of data, and ongoing maintenance services, I want to talk about the responsive Magento POA front end. And with this POA front end, the merchants can do a lot aside from the front end of the website. And they want, with POA, they can even take advantage of some of the mobile features on your mobile devices, for example, camera or GPS. And the second thing is we have recently implemented an automatic bank payment capture and reconciliation logic, so that the customer, when the customer make a purchase, it will automatically reconcile, and it will be synced to the ERP that they have, which is Odoo. And all this process, it gives the customer a sense of ease of navigation, and they can purchase very quickly. And all these information are totally synced in real time with their ERP, so that the merchants, they won't have a big fuss of all the reconciliation at the end of the month for the business. Okay, so that will conclude my part of the talk. So I will transfer that to Willie to talk about more of the Adobe's take on the topic. Willie?
Thank you, Joel. Let me share my screen. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Really happy to be here sharing with you on the topic of peak readiness for festive season. It's not just for festive season, really. I'll be sharing some of the takeaways that we've learned for the past 2 years, which are big events for all of us, on how our customers and Adobe actually helps to prepare for peak season performance. At the same time, I'll also be sharing some of the learnings that we've seen working with our partners and merchants or customers on how to go about this journey of customer experience, bringing about, improving upon, and innovate upon the customer's expectation, using some of the capabilities from Adobe Commerce, or the bigger set of Adobe's capability to bring about to deliver a more delightful customer journey. And Joel spoke about the COVID aftermath, and really a lot of the customer behaviors have changed significantly in these 2 years. There is increased expectation, and customers are a lot more familiar with personalized journey or shopping online. So we've come a long way since 2020 to this stage of opening up in Vietnam and the region. Southeast Asia has also experienced its own set of e-commerce boom, similar to what the rest of the world in the past last 2+ years. And as consumers get accustomed to this new lifestyle, new workplace, and how it has affected them, we also realize that these changes in terms of customers' expectation, buying behavior is permanent. This change will not go away, and the digital commerce is not just an option. it is not just an alternative, it has become a preferred buying channel for many consumers. So for merchants or for customers that's not already on this journey, or implementing, going on this journey right now, this is a good time to really start thinking about what's the next stage of bringing your business online or digitizing your business. And frictionless shopping online is not just a hit and miss. It is a must. It's a given. All right. Customers' expectation on struggle-free engagement, struggle-free, frictionless, experience online, due to slowness or slack, or lags or slow loading of pages, is not acceptable. They will just move and take their business elsewhere. Hence, loyalty in the brick and mortar is facing a lot of attrition if merchants do not digitize their business or provide them with another channel to engage the customers. We also realize that as we go into the yearly peak period for the past 2 years, Adobe became a very critical component in our customers' business, in helping them, supporting them to guide the merchants on how to prepare their e-commerce storefronts for success. And from the operation and practice standpoint, we've actually curated 5 easy guidances to merchants and partners, practitioners, to keep track of where they are today. Are they prepared to reap the best benefit for their business and to bring about the best experience for their customers? Big question now is, are you ready? Right. So this is where Adobe actually has quite a bit of experience working with partners, the likes of Magenest. And these are 5 easy steps for merchants to really evaluate themselves whether they are ready for peak period season. Most of the time we do see merchants getting geared, preparing themselves, evaluating their readiness all the way from July onwards. We do have a lot of merchants that's coming to us at this moment to get us to help them with their marketing campaigns, based on the plans that they have for events, new launches, or promotions throughout the year until Chinese New Year, which is past end of the year, but that's still considered peak period season. At the same time, we will help our merchants to review and evaluate their past statistics or during the different peak period season, especially during the year-end period, and keep track of whether or not the platform that they're using for their digital business online are sufficient, and reuse these statistics for the current year for possible scaling in order to make sure that they can meet the transaction demand and load. After we get these numbers working with the customers, we'll put it to a test. We'll make sure that through automation, through certain testing, whether or not the so-called forecasted transactions in their environment is able to handle certain scale, peak transaction load, or whether any bottlenecks occurs. With that, we are better prepared to scale the site, whether we need to add more capacity, whether or not customers are actually using certain content distribution network, or if they are not, to make sure that the loading speed when the customers go online onto their storefront is smoother, won't have any errors or slowness that they'll be facing. There are certain practices that will also be helping or guide our customer or partner along to put in place. For example, how to optimize the images for faster loading speed on the storefront, whether or not there is any version or patch upgrade that we've identified that the merchant should put in place. We strongly encourage a zero downtime deployment model as well for their storefronts, just to make sure that even though the transaction load may be scaling up a lot, there will be distribution in terms of processing to make sure that all these processing or fulfillment are done. Also strongly encourage backup of e-commerce sites or storefronts. For example, using snapshots to do backups and restores just to make sure that if something goes wrong, their storefronts or the businesses doesn't go down as well. We constantly proactively help our merchants and partners monitor their storefront performance, and we do have also a very strong set of support team that runs 24/7 across the sun to be in the loop for any new campaign launches or any calendar year for marketing planning per se. At the same time, we also encourage secure so-called patches or hotfixes that comes along. This is to make sure that merchant doesn't face with any so-called vulnerability or malwares that is very common in the marketplace today. And the idea around this is to protect the customer data, is to protect the firms, the merchant's reputation, just to make sure that there wouldn't be any data leakages or any security issues they are facing during this peak period where a lot of hackers are very active. So there are some practices that you can learn from the link around here that I have on the page that you can actually link to some of the articles that we have published online for merchants and partners to take a look at what are some of the best practices to help them to prepare them for the peak season performance. Did you know that it is possible for our merchants to work with our partners to actually provide us with your marketing calendar so that Adobe and Magenest is able to help you scale the performance of all your different events, all your different launches, or your fresh sales per se throughout the whole year. So we have a team that is able to proactively monitor and dynamically scale the capacity of your platform to make sure that the buying experience of your buyers and administrators are not affected by any surges in terms of transaction volume. So this is something that we value add upon to safeguard the interest, to give a comforting mind or ease of mind to our merchants, to make sure that they can focus on the activities, the business activities that revolves around their peak season period, and not just have to firefight against some of the technicalities that they face during this period of time. Now, we've also took away quite a bit of learning from this COVID period. Beginning of the year, when Adobe realizes that the region the world, and especially in this case for Southeast Asia, is opening up, we realized that it's a good time for us to take the opportunity to reflect and think about what we've learned from our business, what we've learned from our merchants, from our customers in the e-commerce space so far. There are many takeaways which you can learn from the QR link, which I'm going to share shortly. But one thing that's obvious is, as I mentioned, the customer's expectation, behavior changes, and motivation that's changed. Okay, now with this, we actually have we've created a set of so-called reflections that we are sharing with the community, so that they can take a look at the experience that Adobe have learned, not just from our company itself, but more importantly from our customers, what they've done differently during the COVID time, that they can take away and improve upon how they operate their storefront business online moving forward, which is very critical. And out of this, we also realized, so this is the QR link where we have published this. You can actually use your mobile to go to the link to take a look at this. One of the things that we realized that has significantly affected or changed the buying behaviors of a lot of the end buyers is personalizations. And to a point where we commissioned McKinsey to come up with a paper or reports that tells us globally 71% of the consumers are expecting a personalized approach or engagement on how they actually decide who to engage with, who to buy with, and when to buy. And of this 71%, a very big portion of it, 76, would face certain friction if they don't see what they expect to see. With this, they might actually run the risk of taking their business elsewhere. The upside to this to merchants who has done this successfully is that they see more willingness in terms of customer closing off that order with them. This means potential 10x in terms of conversion rates for customers who have items in their carts. We also see improvement in terms of revenue per visitor. Buying more is not just more regularly. They are spending more with merchants who are successful in terms of personalizing or individualizing contents, promotions, discount, or events with the buyers. On average, we do see 9 times improvement in terms of order value. Speaking about myself, I was not regular online buyer in the past, but during COVID, we were all forced to do that. We do see that for buyers that buying online, they got a lot more picky. They got a lot more critical in terms of how they perceive to be a good merchant, offering different kind of products online. And for buyers who have never tried buying online, they got a taste of this, and there's no turning back. But this is very critical because this really incubates that mindset in terms of in options that they have. It's not just brick and mortar. They have another option online, which is really where we are today. At the same time, do you know that for merchants who really want to achieve personalization in depth, while they have that vision, effectively only 25% of these merchants has a 360-degree view of the buyer, which comes to the other point where Joel mentioned earlier, the expertise, the competency, or the want to create a customer data platform, a CDP. And this is really where a lot of experience is required, because while merchants have that vision to gain 360 view of a shopper's experience, to actualize this is not easy, because they have a lot of disparate systems. There's overwhelming amount of data that they're dealing with, which they see value, but they are not able to curate or bring them together. The manual processing itself is not even possible to go through Excel files to determine and analyze what a customer's journey, what the struggles, who are buying what during what period, which campaign is running well. All this requires a lot of effort if they are manpower, if they're going to be doing this manually. Where this is exactly where the customer data platform offered by Adobe and supported by Magenest would come into actualizing this entire journey end-to-end for merchants. And we do see that this is not a overnight or 1 week journey. Is something that Adobe, Magenest, our partner, work very closely with merchant to actually realize this along the way. And you can see, understand more of this topic with the QR link. However, that's not the end of the road, where there's always a starting point. And we do know, and we have curated a set of quick wins for customers that has the intention to embark on this journey, so that they are able to maximize, the existing storefronts, even though they might not have the end-to-end 360 view of a shopper experience with them. There's certain ways or capabilities of the Adobe platform that allows buyers to have a more hassle-free and personalized journey. And this is where we are providing some options for consideration for merchants to approach by giving them different options of fulfillment of their purchases, or different payment options, or using AI to drive certain product recommendation to create a smoother journey for the buyers themselves. Showing what is relevant, whether it's contents, banners, promotions, upselling and cross-selling of products. Showing what's relevant to them is very important, because if not otherwise, the buyer may get confused. By individually targeting them in terms of the promotion campaign, and segmenting the buyer profile by showing them what they really want in terms of promotion, helps to give them a sense of personalization and bring about a closer engagement with the customer. We also realize that a lot of merchants starts to run loyalty campaigns, starts to run coupon offering to buyers, and by them doing this, they have the ability to also do private events or flash sales or exclusive events or product launches to buyers to promote loyalty. So this incentivizes further engagement between the merchant and the buyers. So these are some of the quick wins of capability that we do see merchants leveraging on the Adobe Commerce platform, to really create a more comfortable, a more rewarding journey with their buyers. Adding on to what I've just mentioned, we do see during the COVID period, a lot of merchants actually consider doing in-store delivery. What this means is the buyers have the options of not just having the products delivered to them, especially during the year-end season where we see a lot of last-minute purchasing behavior. So buyers actually have the options to pick up their purchases from a physical store itself. So we have the ability to fulfill this, to do this automatically, to determine which is the closest location that the customer can do this pickup. Other information such as opening hours can easily be shown on the storefront, so that it's informative for the buyer to make a decision. They can do this during the checkout process to see whether or not they want the product to be delivered to them, or they can pick up from the store. One thing to note as well, that it's also possible for the platform to determine which is the closest store to deliver the product to the customer if the customer choose to have this delivered to them. We also have very intuitive email notification for customer to keep them aware of the stages of fulfillment for their purchases along the way. So this transparency is something that all customers actually expects today. I mentioned earlier as well that loyalty is something that a lot of merchants actually embark on that journey with their customers. We also see private events and press sales becoming a lot more common. This actually increases the brand loyalty of the product offering from the merchant to their customers, especially when you have situation where they have events where they want to do a private sales for customers. This is something that exclusive and can be supported pretty easily. We also have the ability to stoke demand by compressing and showing the customer when this particular exclusive sales or event starts and ends. So it creates a buzz amongst the regular buyers merchant. We can promote this event way ahead prior to the launch of this particular press sales or event with a carousel that has a countdown timer of when this sales will start or when it will end. So this is very configurable on the platform as well. For customers or merchants that for buyers that regularly buy with you, purchase with you, we have ways to profile and see who are the ones that we want to send this exclusive press sales or event email notification or invitation to, and we have the ability to track how many of these leads are accepted and converted into purchases at the end of the day. You can see over here that 72% of the buyers are very extremely satisfied with private sales event, simply because it actually promotes a sense of exclusivity that the merchant is actively engaging with you. So it's something that we see merchant does make use of quite a bit. We also have AI-driven, machine learning-driven smart product recommendation for shoppers. This helps to pick up trends that's unknown to merchants. Okay, so there are ways that we can set rules within the platform, to promote certain upsell, cross-sell, or product recommendation or product cross-sell on the storefronts. But beyond that, what if there's a certain period of time where some buyers are buying an item regularly, and we do not know that there may be some festive event happening out there, or maybe there's some change in terms of buying trends. So this is exactly where we are leveraging on artificial intelligence and machine learning to detect some of these subtle changes and help make real-time recommendation to buyers so that we can drive and maximize the sales based on certain behavior that the buyers are exhibiting. There are 13 unique types of recommendation that is available for merchants to configure. They have the flexibility to add inclusion or exclusion rules on the kind of pricing, whether it's out of stock, whether they want to focus on the category of products in order to drive certain focus for this automated product recommendation. This allows them to drive maximum performance of revenue result further upon what they already know about the customers. It's simple, very simple to roll out. It's very simple to test, execute, and these are all built in with the platform. Through a GUI on the back end, where the administrator can actually configure this. Zero programming. It's all pretty much a business-focused kind of a navigation that the merchants can do this very readily. Now, coming to this portion about the topic of personalization or individualization of content and promotions, we allow customer segmentation that buyers that can allow the merchant to identify different segments of buyers of different behaviors based on their address, their order history, their cart content, and deliver publish dynamic contents and promotions that's specific to this customer segment. This is one of the part which I mentioned earlier, that to give a sense of personalization to the buyers, we are using a lot of customer segmentation to profile the behavior or the buying patterns on the storefront. Okay, and very quickly, just on this part, where just to add on to the perspective of a 360-degree view of customer experience. Joel mentioned the CDP. So Adobe does have the entire end-to-end platform, not just the Adobe Commerce Magento platform per se for storefronts buying and selling. We also have the end-to-end capabilities and products and services that allows merchants to optimize to have insights into the buying behaviors of their customers, creating contents using CMS on our AEM. We have marketing automation products to the likes of Marketo or CJO as well, and also Adobe Analytics. So if there's any merchant that is on different part of the journey for digitization of their marketing fronts, of their storefronts, please approach Magenest and Adobe to have a more in-depth discussion on this. We are very well positioned in the market today to guide the merchants along, regardless of where they are in their journey for digitizing their businesses. And we look forward to speaking more to you. Thank you so much. And I'll hand over to Joel.
Okay, thank you, Willie, for the very insightful sharing of yours. So let me share my screen. Okay, so I think that is a wrap for both of our sessions. So I would like to talk a bit about the introduction of Magenest. Magenest is a solution partner of Adobe. We have been for the last 6 years, and we are also the partner of Odoo, HubSpot, and Amazon Web Services. And we have served some of biggest clients that on the Adobe side, for example, Heineken, SI Market, or Abbott. And like Willie said, we are we expect very much for you to reach out to us to talk more about what is the condition of your businesses and what we can do to help you to boost your sales and boost your brand authority, and especially in the period of year-end sales. So we will leave 2 minutes for break time, and we'll come back with the Q&A session. Thank you. Okay, looks like our break has just ended. So before we wrap up our webinar, I would like to go into some of your questions so that me and Willie will give you an honest answer about it. And okay, yeah. So Willie, I'm going to ask you just some questions about that our audience has just posted. The first one is, do I need the enterprise version of Adobe Commerce for personalized e-com system? So Willie?
Yep. So I've shared earlier on the presentation on my part that part of the personalization journey that merchants take rely a lot on the profiling of customers' buying history in the past or buying pattern down to their profile. So this is called customer segmentation, and this is a very critical part of the capabilities that is built in to Adobe Commerce, and this is the enterprise version of it. We are using the segmentation to power contents that's specific to a customer profile or buying behavior, even down to promotions or the kind of discounts or coupons that we are offering to different segments of customers. For example, some merchants may have different tier of memberships, or they may want to target certain segment of customer that is buying, a particular category of products often. And if the merchants or the marketeers themselves wants to target certain engagement with this segment of customers, this is really where the customer segmentation comes in. So it's very important because a lot of the other platforms or for the matter, the non-enterprise version doesn't have the segmentation baked into it. It's not something that's easy to achieve because while we are able to very easily use drag and drop to create segmentation, the data that is or the rules that's configured for this segmentation actually impacts a lot of the engagement, a lot of the offerings that the merchants want to show to the end buyers in terms of dynamic contents, fresh contents, year-end season contents that may even cut down into what kind of product, what category of products that they want to pitch, offer, put in the front of the storefront to the buyers. So short, long answer for that question. In short, yes, you would need the enterprise version of Adobe Commerce for personalization.
Okay, thank you for that very informative answer. So there's another one that I think I'll be the one to answer this. One audience asks, what's your #1 tactic that merchants can put in place today to increase GMV? So I think I have just showed to you the graph by McKinsey earlier about the business action to recover after COVID. So there are various measures that you can take to start wrapping up your revenue after the COVID has basically ended, and the year-end sales has kickstarted. So there are various methods. For example, you can invest in your e-commerce businesses. You can ramp up your advertisement activities. You can improve your assortments, range, and packaging, or you can invest in more of your sales restructuring if you are heavy on sales. But the short-term answer for that would be you should ramp up your marketing activities, especially digital marketing activities. And nowadays there are many marketing channels that you can invest in. For example, social media, marketplaces, websites, or some of the offline method of doing it. For example, workshops or roadshows, or promoting your new products or in your physical store, for example. But the long answer would be, so I have talked about this earlier about investing in your branding and in your CDPs, for example, so that you can have a better look, like a general look of what your customer profile would be. And if you understand your customer, then I think revenue will come after that. So yes, the short answer is the short-term measure would be to invest in your advertisement, in your promotions, both in online and offline channels. But the long term is invest in your in your CDPs, in your customer behavior, tracking them, and understand what who your customers are, and focus on your branding. Okay, so I think I'll have just one more question for Willie. Hope you don't mind. So can Adobe Commerce work well with content generating tools? Because our team is currently using AI content tools for all our content. So apparently, yes. So this audience is apparently having interested in the Adobe stack of software. So and they are very heavy on the content part as well. So Willie, can you give them any recommendations?
Sure. If I understand the question correctly, whether Adobe Commerce is able to integrate directly with other digital asset management tools or other content management tools. So within Adobe Commerce, we already have a very strong set of capabilities that deals with WYSIWYG-based GUI drag and drop content management, which we call page builder. So no coding involved. But beyond that, at the same time, there's also media libraries that is baked into Adobe Commerce that can facilitate out-the-box management of digital contents. But obviously, across enterprises, they may have different practices, or from an omnichannel standpoint, they might actually have to the likes of AEM, Adobe Experience Manager, which basically is an enterprise level set of capabilities to manage contents across all channels. We also have digital asset management tools that's able to do that within Adobe as well. So beyond what is already available in Adobe Commerce, if the merchants or the customer has at the enterprise level other sets of digital asset management tool or content management to the likes of AEM, they are already able to integrate with Adobe Commerce readily. But if it's not from Adobe, it's also possible. We do see merchants using the likes of WordPress, Drupal, that is very similar, but obviously Adobe is better in some of these enterprise level tooling. But yes, they can also integrate that. We do see extensions, or some of these third-party providers actually have capabilities to integrate directly with Adobe Commerce from a legacy standpoint, and even now and for the future. So that really eases the options or the flexibility of giving merchants options to stay with the strong capability of Adobe Commerce or Adobe sets of portfolio of products, but at the same time open up the possibility for them to use other vendors, asset management tool or content management tool to integrate with Adobe Commerce. So that level of flexibility is definitely available with Adobe Commerce.
Yeah. So from my perspective, our company has extensive knowledge about the Adobe content management tool. So it was a big step up from I think the version of 2.2 of Adobe Commerce. And we also have customers who are already have Adobe Experience Manager before, and they would like to integrate it with their Adobe Commerce instance. And I think it works very well. And like you said, there are many ways to do it, and I think it will come down eventually to how convenient that the merchant wants it, and the budget that you can actually invest into this business. So the last one I think is for me. So one audience asks, can you share more information about POA technology on the IONOW project? So yeah, so I'll give a very short answer on this. So IONOW was a very new project to us, but for that project, the technology stack we have been doing that for several years now. So POA on the IONOW project is basically based on the Magento POA Studio. So we think that there are many POA technology out there. React, for example, and it's a very popular framework. But for this project, I think Magento POA Studio just fit the customer requirement quite well, and we are also including GraphQL into the equation, because GraphQL, it just level up the speed and the stability of all the API that we use to connect between the backend and the front end of the website. So it just gave us some flexibility about we can freely and easily customize the front end of the website using Magento POA Studio, and we have fast APIs, and so far we have a very stable system that IONOW is having. So yes, we would like to recommend using Magento POA Studio for further projects that we will do with Adobe. Okay, so I think 4 questions is fairly enough, and I thank you all, our beloved audience, for joining the webinar with us today. And thank you, Willie, for spending the time with us to help me to give very insightful information to our audience. And we hope that you support us in the future webinar. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks,
Okay.
Joel, for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will close the webinar now. If you have any information, you can always reach us via our email, and don't be hesitant to drop us a message. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.